Are you constantly losing high ground against these tryhards in Fortnite? If so, continue watching this video because I'm going to be showing you some simple but effective high ground retakes that you can use to reclaim high ground. And we're starting right now. Okay, so first let's talk about the importance of high ground retakes and why they are really useful. High ground retakes are really important to learn since if your opponent has high ground over you, majority of the time you'll be at a disadvantage since they'll be able to see you clearly, which will make it way easier for them to shoot at you. And this is when high ground retakes become really useful. So when your opponent has high ground over you, you want to use high ground retakes to reclaim high ground. But there's even more benefits of learning and using high ground retakes since it also helps improve editing and building speed. And also if you want me to make a separate video on how to improve building and editing speed, do let me know down in the comment section. So what high ground retakes allow you to do is to reclaim high ground as quick as possible while being protected. So now you know the importance and usefulness of high ground retakes, let's get into the first retake. Okay, so the first retake I'm going to be showing you is the infinite 90s. So with infinite 90s, you want to do 3 regular 90s and then on the 4th 90s, you're not going to jump, but you're going to do the exact same thing. So the only difference is instead of jumping in the 4th one, you're just going to place a stair and walk on the stair. The reasoning behind this is after 3 jumps in Fortnite, you become jump fatigued, which means you'll have to wait to jump again at a normal height. So normally when you do 3 90s, you have to slow down since you can't jump anymore. But with infinite 90s, you don't have to stop. You can continuously 90 really quickly to reclaim high ground. So this was a very simple high ground retake to do that anyone could do as long as they know how to do 90s. And if you don't know how to do 90s and you'd like to see a step-by-step tutorial on how to do 90s, do let me know down in the comments and I'll make a video on that. But another thing with infinite 90s is that you can actually mess it up since when you place a stair, there can be occasions when you're stuck underneath your stair which could slow you down a lot. So to prevent this, when you're placing the stair, don't go forwards too much because when you go too forwards, the stair will be placed right above you, which will reduce your speed when trying to get high ground. And to reduce the chance of this mistake happening, do practice infinite 90s in creative mode so you can get used to it. But of course sometimes you are still going to make a mistake, so make sure you learn to edit out as quick as possible if this happens. But overall, infinite 90s are really effective in getting high ground. Okay, so the second retake I'm going to be showing you also includes 90s, and here's what I like to call the 90s cone block. And to do this is very simple as well. So what you want to do is do a few 90s, then place the stair and a cone right in front of you, then you carry on 90ing, and when you feel like you need to do it again, just do it. Now you can also do this with 2 stairs and 2 cones in front of you if you like that as well. Both ways work well. So this retake does many things, like to trick your opponent into thinking that you're going to edit the cone and build that way. It gives you extra protection from your opponent and it gives you extra piece control. So your opponent will not be able to place a stair on where you place the cone, which means they won't be able to build over you from that side. Now the reason why I really like this retake is that it's very simple to do and it has so many advantages and benefits to it. And another good thing about this retake is that you can actually combine it with the infinite 90s retake, which makes it even better. And the best time to use infinite 90s in this retake is when you're really close to retaking high ground from your opponent and when you already have high ground but your opponent is trying to retake it. But yeah, I'll definitely recommend you start using this high ground retake. The third high ground retake I'm going to be showing you is the sizzle ramp cone block. All you have to do is place 2 stairs, one in front of you and one behind you, and then you can continuously build up while being protected. And after a while, to get more protection, you can place 2 cones, one in front of you and one on top of your stair to give you extra protection from above. And if you want to continue doing the sizzle ramp without changing direction, after you place the 2 cones, you can edit the front 2 tiles of the cone in front of you to make it a stair, then you could continuously sizzle ramp again. And that's why the second cone isn't as important, but it does still provide you with extra protection. Also, if you mess up the cone edit in front of you, what I'll recommend you do is just 90 off, then you could do a different retake from this, or you could continue sizzle ramping. It's up to you what you do afterwards. And sometimes it just depends on where the opponent is, on what high ground retake is best to use next. Now if you're sizzle ramping and your opponent is shooting at you, if you want to try and lose the opponent's trail, you could build a floor, then instead of going straight, you could go right or left. Then trick them and turn to the other direction and start building from that way, or you could build forwards afterwards. And now this is when the second cone comes in handy. If you have the second cone above you, you could carry on sizzle ramping in the left or right direction. But if you don't have the cone above you, instead when you turn right or left, you could just do 90s instead. The opportunities in this high ground retake are endless. You can even edit the stair above you after you place the floor in the opposite direction and carry on sizzle ramping. So yeah, this one's got endless opportunities on what you could do. So I'll definitely take advantage of this high ground retake as well. The 4th high ground retake I'm going to be showing you is the flightful cones. Now to do it, all you have to do is build a stair and a wall in front of you. Then you want to quickly turn to your left or right side depending on where your opponent is. So what you want to do is build forwards, turn around quickly, place some walls and then place a cone at the top, then continue building forwards. And you can do this as much as you want. Now at first it may be kind of hard to do, but with some practice you'll be able to do it much easily and quickly. Another reason why I recommend you practice this retake is that you can make quite a lot of mistakes in it. You can sometimes place a cone in front of you that will block you or a wall in front of you that will also block you. So by practicing this retake, you'll reduce the chance of you making a mistake. And if you do make a mistake, just try and edit out as quick as possible possible. Now, one of the reasons why I really like this retake is that it can protect you from many different directions, including above you, behind you, and one of your sides. Now, the only two disadvantages I'll say this retake has is that you can mess up quite often, but of course with a lot of practice you can reduce that chance. But the second disadvantage being that it uses quite a lot of mats. So if you don't have a lot of mats on you, I wouldn't recommend using this retake. Now, one of the best times to use this retake is in the last parts of a public match, and this is because in the last parts of a game you generally have a lot of mats, and since you'll be only battling one or two more battles, it doesn't matter if you run out of mats. But overall, this is one of the best simple and effective high ground retakes out there. The fifth high ground retake I'm going to be showing you is the side jump, and this one's really effective combined with other high ground retakes, so I'll definitely recommend you use this with other retakes as well. So all you have to do is build upwards, then place a coin in front of you to protect yourself from your opponent shooting at you. Then what you want to do is run to the left or right side of your cone, then jump from the side and place a floor to catch yourself, and after that you could do any high ground retake you want, for example the infinite 90s and the 90s cone block. Now with this retake, a lot of people can make mistakes with it. Now one of the common mistakes people do, they don't jump to one of the sides in time, which when they don't jump in time they end up getting blocked by the cone, which slows them down from getting high ground. Another mistake people do is to jump too early. When you jump too early, it makes it really hard for you to catch yourself, and most of the time you don't end up catching yourself by jumping too early, and when that happens you can end up falling to your death. So this high ground retake has quite a lot of advantages, like being able to combine it with other retakes, tricking your opponent, claiming piece control, and much more. So I guess you could say this retake is a high risk, high reward. So if you want the rewards in your favor in this retake, I'd really recommend you practice it in creative quite a bit before you start using it in real games, since if you use side jumps in real games, it can end up making you lose that fight. So I know a lot of people will just avoid this retake completely, but if you do master this retake, it could be really useful. So it's up to you if you want to use this retake or not. An extra tip if you don't end up catching yourself with a floor while doing a side jump is that you can actually place walls downwards and then place a floor to reduce the amount of fall damage you take. So if you thought you were fully jumping to your death, at least you got this backup plan. But overall, side jumps are quite good. The final high ground retake I'm going to be showing you is the wall trick 90s. So the way you do the wall trick 90s is start off by doing a few 90s. After you've done a few 90s, what you want to do is place a floor and a wall right in front of you. Then you want to walk forwards close to the wall and then place a stair right above you. You can also place a cone for extra protection, and also allow you to combine this retake with other high ground retakes. So after you've done that, you got many different options you can do. You could build to the right or left and do a high ground retake, and if you build a cone above you, you could do a sizzle ramp as well. You can also edit the wall right in front of you and do a retake that way, or you can even edit the stair in the opposite direction and sizzle ramp up that way, or do another high ground retake instead. It's all up to you. But a side note is, if you're going to edit the stair in the opposite direction, I recommend you don't place a cone, since it's just going to block your way and slow you down, because you're going to have to edit the cone to build up. So yeah, this retake is really simple and it is best used combined with other retakes. But yeah, this one's definitely a useful high ground retake. If you found this video useful, do consider subscribing to the channel and turn on the notification bell to never miss out on any new amazing videos I upload. And if you'd like to learn how to level up really quickly in Fortnite Chapter 3, click onto the video on the screen right now. But anyways, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.